Hey, what's up, fantasy people? Thank you so much for tuning into the Fantasy Footballin' Show. Today's episode, we're going to go over the top 10 fantasy football wide receivers going into next season. Now, the throne for fantasy football power is transitioning from running back to wide receiver surprisingly fast, faster than anybody thought. So a lot of these names are going to be winning people fantasy championships. So pay attention. I'm going to be sharing our list with you right now. So these are our top 25, 30 wide receivers heading into next season. Mine are color-coded in tiers. Jason's rankings are right next to that, and then I average the two for the show's rankings. So that's the order we're going to go in today. Pay attention to that, and please sit back and enjoy the show. Hey, what's up, fantasy people? This is Tyler, Big Turd Ward, and Jason, the lucky bastard Ethan Wolt, coming at you live from the West Coast. And this is the Fantasy Footballin' Show. Today's episode, we're going to be continuing our fantasy football wide receiver rankings. We did 25 through 11 2 days ago. And now we're going to finish up with the big boys, Jason, get their own show, top 10. I did screw up, and because of the way I set up my Excel file, I went 25 through 10. So we'll hit 10 again. Before we get into all of that, though, Jason, can you please tell the public how they can help this show?
Oh, yes. The support has been great this past month. We appreciate it. If you guys made it this far, if you could please hit the subscribe. If you could press the like, we like the likes. And you can even leave us, text us a comment about who you agree or disagree about our player rankings. And if you want to listen to us, like on the way to work or while you're pooping, we're on Spotify. Check it out.
Thank you, Jason. So I am new at this whole hosting thing. We haven't even been doing this a year yet. And yeah, dude, I screwed up. Last time we went over Amon Ra St Brown, Jason, you were surprised that right after we got off the show. You're like, oh, man, I thought he was top 10. I was like, Jason, don't worry. Pump your brakes, dude. He was number 11. I've got this under control. Get in your own lane. JK, LOL. I didn't say any of that. I was like, what, dude? I'm messed up.
You're a liar, Jason. Why are you lying to me right now?
But I do want to say, dude, we love Amon Ra around here. We literally fight for him on draft day. We all overdraft him. And that was just 1 year. He came out of nowhere the year before that. But still, Jason, Amon Ra St. Brown, he gets the Lions. They have a pretty easy schedule. They get to go against my Vikings and the Bears and all that kind of crap, dude. And they get to play in a dome. Jameis Williams, I'm pretty sure that's his name. The superstar wide receiver going into his second year. He got caught gambling, so he's not going to even be there for a while. Now, Gibbs is a pass-catching running back. He led Alabama in targets and receiving or something like that. So he could take away some of those short targets. And then they also got that the tight end in the second round, like De La Porta, who is one of my sleeper tight ends. So there is some short competition, short yardage competition for Amon Ra St. Brown. But, dude, he's going to be amazing. I would love him as my number one wide receiver. I'd be totally cool with Amon Ra as my number one wide receiver. I just repeated it because I mean it.
Yeah. You know what college he's from?
USC, Jason, your favorite college.
He's
Ronnie
a USC.
Yeah.
That's Reggie Bush. That's not actually him. I don't want people to get confused.
Oh, I just saw you pointing towards that guy's butt, Jason.
This guy. It's hard to do this. Yeah, I'm on Ron St. Brown. They still have a top 5 offensive line. They're probably still going to have a bad defense, maybe a little bit improved, but still going to be pretty bad. And, Jared Goff is the quarterback. The guy's catch rating is 74%, which is godlike. So I still like this guy, especially in PPR formats. This guy's a killer in PPR formats.
All right, Mr. Jason. So we have a situation here. Garrett Wilson was the offensive rookie of the year last year. They had the offensive rookie, the defensive rookie was Sauce. And yeah, dude, he's being compared, Aaron Rodgers out there tossing the ball to him. He's like, man, I saw him come out of a break. He looks like Davante Adams. So the hype train is real. Like if you're drafting Garrett Wilson here, it's like all this hype is baked into this ADP, man. Like he is going high. And he does get that second year wide receiver bump. That is a sticky stat. Jason, I do want to say, this is all I'll say about this was that Davante, I had it right here. You know what, dude? Anyways, so Jets quarterbacks in 2022, and then Rodgers' worst year ever. So Jets quarterbacks threw 15 touchdowns. Rodgers' worst year was 26 touchdowns. So there's going to be 11 more touchdowns available for Garrett Wilson this year. He's going to probably catch like half of those. Dude, I am loving Garrett Wilson, Jason.
Yeah, me too. He had 4 touchdowns last year. He's a 1,000-yard receiver, 83 receptions on 147 targets. He averaged 10.2 points per game. You know, we all see the potential in Wilson becoming an elite wide receiver. He had 4 games last year with 20 yards per reception. Definitely an upgrade in quarterback. There's a lot of people who also think Aaron Rodgers is on the way out in his career, but you know, Tyler, you convinced me that he has one more year.
Dude, I'm banking on
One
that.
more year.
He's fueled by like emotion, man. He's like he needs motivation. He like last time he was motivated. He had 2 MVP seasons in a row.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just banking on 1 year. I'm not like this is not a long term investment here.
Oh yeah, he just wants to prove all the haters wrong because Aaron Rodgers is a very prideful man, right? But the haters gonna hate. Yeah, Wilson appears to be the guy who's going to be like the Davante Adams for Aaron Rodgers. So I think Aaron Rodgers is going to make Garrett Wilson famous next year. So I want a little piece of that. Give me a little piece of that.
And also, I do want to say that it looks like Aaron Rodgers is actually trying. You know, he's hanging out with all the young dudes. He is invested in this. Like I think Aaron Rodgers is a great value. Like it's going to be one of my top 5 stacks. Garrett Wilson and what did I just say?
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. Sorry, there's flies in this house, people, and it is bothering me.
That's a good stack. I like that stack.
Oh, dude, that's going to be coming out soon. Top 5 stacks, receiving stacks that won't ruin your fantasy draft, and then top 5 quarterback, running back stacks that won't ruin your fantasy draft. Look out for that. Next up, Jason, this guy should be higher. You're actually lower on him than I am. I have him 7. You have him 10. Dude, Davante Adams. I know there are some question marks. Like the big question marks for me is Josh Jacobs, Jason. Like he needs to play, I think, for Adams to be really, whatever. And I need to see Garoppolo's health as well. He's coming off a foot surgery, apparently. But at the same time, what's promising for this, dude, is when Jason, when they held out Derek Carr last season and they made his wife cry and all that stuff, it was Davante Adams still went off with a backup quarterback. I think he had like 20-something points. So the way that Mike McDaniel schemes things and like, dude, just how good Davante Adams is, I think that he could be a value this year, but he does have some variables that are scaring people like myself.
Yeah, I think we did a risk rating, risky players to pick in the draft, and my top one was Davante Adams with a risk rating of 85 if drafted before the 15th pick. But it's not because of skill issue. No, this guy killed it last year. He was first in touchdowns with 14, and he was third in yards with 1,500 receiving yards, 100 receptions on 180 targets. The only issue is the quarterback play. I'm not a fan of Jimmy Garoppolo. Some stat that I said in previous episodes is that Adams had 34 receptions downfield, which is considered like 20 yards last season, and Jimmy Garoppolo's only had 35 passing attempts downfield in the past 4 seasons. And since season 18, only 40% of Davante Adams' yards has come after the catch, so it's not even half, and that's not really like Jimmy G's play style. I see like more of a value pick out of this as like Jacoby Myers than getting Davante Adams in like the first round, early second round.
So see, I mean, Jason and I talk all the same time, but we value certain things. We've had some players that have burned us. So we have different rankings, man. It's just the way it is. And here I'm seeing like Adams is probably going to finish as a top 5. Depending on how the preseasons go, I'll put him in my top tier probably as a top wide receiver. But, if things are still like not clear, I'm going to move him down. And he's going to be, what is he right now for me, Jason? I said he was number 7. So, Jason, you have this next guy even higher than him. That's kind of crazy. Just because I'm so afraid of the play caller right now, and they just lost Kellen Moore, who, like I keep on talking about, has been top 10 in like depth per target. I mean, I think the Cowboys even led the league in scoring a couple of years under Kellen Moore, and so now they're going to take a big step back, going conservative with Mike McCarthy. But Jason, you still believe in CeeDee Lamb? I have him 8. I have him behind Adams. You have him 4 spots ahead of Adams at number 6. How do you feel about Adam, or how do you feel about CeeDee Lamb?
I like CeeDee Lamb. I still like him. 6 years younger than Davante Adams. He's 24. He was 4th in the league last year with 9 touchdowns. He was 6th in receiving. He averaged 14.6 points per game, half point PPR. This dude had 107 receptions on 156 targets. That's a 67.2% catch rate. And his stats keep increasing every year, right? He's going in, I think, his fourth year, from year 1, year 2, year 3, that just keep getting better and better. And you know what? Mari Cooper is. Dalton Schultz is. Noah Brown, who took some targets last year and touchdowns, is. But, they did get Brandon Cooks. Which I think is a good pickup. But he's going to be new to this system. I mean, pretty much everyone is. But the rapport that CeeDee Lamb and Dak has, Dak's not going to have the same with Brandon Cooks. Yes, I believe they are probably going to run the ball more in 2023. But I feel like when they throw, they'll be throwing the Lamb. When they throw, they'll be throwing the Lamb. And Sportsbook has CeeDee Lamb the favorite to be Offensive Player of the Year this year. So I like seeing those odds too. Yeah. I just feel like when Dak Prescott, when he does throw, the person he's going to target on that team is CeeDee Lamb. And CeeDee Lamb is a playmaker. We've seen what he could do. He could.
What? Dude, I am thinking about. I was like, "There's one NSYNC song that I actually like," and I was like, "It's not or the ice around your neck. It doesn't matter. It's all that pop life for when's it gonna fade out."
Dirty pop,
dirty pop, dude. I'm gonna probably listen to that stupid song after the show.
Yeah,
with ice around my neck. It's all about respect.
Yeah. With the ice around my neck.
Okay. Anyway, sorry, I didn't listen to anything you said because I was trying to remember that song. I got that far.
I'm used to it.
I'm sorry.
You're good. No,
dude, I heard what you were saying about CeeDee Lamb, and if you look at his stats, dude, I mean, he could be I'd be so happy with CeeDee Lamb as my number 1 from last year. My whole issue is just losing Kellen Moore. I think that's my big problem, and I think that I still have him ranked 1 ahead of Garrett Wilson. So I still think I'm giving him his respect, but yeah. So, anyways, Jason, were you done talking about him? Sorry, I was thinking about that song.
It's okay. Yeah.
All right, dude. This is this next one up. Jason probably hates him because he's on the Eagles, but I happen to love this next dude. I'm targeting him because of the offensive line is still the best in the league. He's a deep target. Jalen Hurts, I think, is going to not run as much. I think he's going to actually start throwing the ball maybe a little bit more because you see his skill in throwing continue to improve in the Super Bowl. Dude, and this guy's playoff run was insane. But he was out targeted by Davante Smith, I think it was 3 of the last 4 games in the regular season or something like that. So Davante Adams is still a real threat, Jason. But how do you feel about AJ Brown?
AJ Brown was a beast last year, and I think everyone knew about that. Knew this was going to happen when he got traded to the Eagles. He was 2nd in touchdowns with 11. He was 4th in receiving yards. He averaged 15 points per game. Yeah, he was targeted 146 times. He had 88 receptions, and that's only 10 more targets than Davante Smith had. And that's what's the scary thing about it, right? Towards the end, Davante Smith started getting a lot more targets. It's like you want to see him be more hyper targeted by Jalen Hurts, but towards the end, Jalen Hurts was throwing the ball, running the ball to everybody, but I still think he's the better wide receiver. He is like a Julio Jones 2.0. He is reported to be the best slant receiver and number 2 on go routes by Pro Football Focus has him ranked that. And the Eagles were 3rd in scoring last year with 28 points, and so I want a piece of that. And they have the best O-line in football, like you said.
Yeah, and Jason, I have him at 5. You have him at 7. ESPN has him at 9, and his ADP is at 18. So it's like the 2-3 turn on the 10-man leagues, late second. Oh, man, it's just or middle of second for, I don't know. I think that he's a value pick. And then Wilson, dude, he's the only person that has a lower ADP right now. He's at 22. So I look at Brown and Wilson as pretty valuable picks for top wide receivers right now. But yeah, dude, it's just if I'm going to put a lot of equity, if I'm going to draft a wide receiver high, Jason, unless it's just a sure thing, I don't care what the offensive line is for Justin Jefferson. He's going to get hyper targeted. Same thing with Kupp and stuff like that. But still, I want an offensive line, an elite offensive line. And he is he's the first one with an elite offensive line of the top wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways,
So, Jalen Hurts is going to have time to sit back there and throw deep.
That's all I want, dude. I just want opportunity for deep throws, and that's what he excels at. And we saw him, dude. He'll throw in double coverage sometimes. And now, Jason, next up, I have him at 6. You have him at 5. You really did not like owning him last year that much, and there has been a lot of drama. This is a tier break for us. Stefon Diggs. What do you think about owning Stefon Diggs last year?
I loved owning Stefon Diggs last year. I got him. I just don't know about this year. I don't know. But I did like him last year. He's almost 30 years old. He was also second in touchdowns last year with 11, fifth in receiving. Had a hit 154 targets, 108 catches. That is a blistering 70.1 catch rate. I love to see that catch rate. He averaged 16 points per game at half-point PPR. Josh Allen loves a hyper target. Diggs, in the red zone last year, he was 11 receptions on 23 targets. That's 47 catch rate. That is the 9th best out of the top 10 wide receivers who led the league in red zone targets. With Diggs getting that much targets outside of the red zone, I kind of want to see more of that going into this season. And I'm sure that's something that could probably happen. He beat DK Metcalf in that red zone target reception catch rate. And because the Bills also love to throw the ball, especially in the red zone, because they don't really care about running the ball all that much. So Bills were also second in scoring. And there's 2 main players on this Bills team that people want to get, and it's Josh Allen and it's Stefon Diggs. Those are the 2 top players on this team that you want to get because they're the ones that do most of the scoring for this team and in fantasy football.
Yeah, dude. And, I drafted Gabe Davis last year. I was like, I'm a genius, man, after the first game. And then he got injured and was never the same. I just really don't trust Josh Allen and that offensive line to be throwing it super, dude, have the time to throw it deep. I have no idea. So Gabe Davis is the deep threat, but their offensive line is terrible. It's like Diggs can do kind of a little bit of everything. And he's a first option most all the time. I don't know, dude. It's just hard. I think that, what's his name? The Kincaid has a better chance of becoming that number 2 than Gabriel Davis. But still, it's like all Diggs all the time, and now it's like all the attention is on them anyways. So I bet you money, they make a point to show really good chemistry, in the first half of the year. I think that they could carry you for the first half of the year. But the problem is with them is that once the Bills start playing outside during fantasy football championships, dude, there's some games where I'm just so afraid to start Bills players. I mean, we don't last year we didn't even know if they could start. So I think that is kind of a factor for Diggs with me, but I still have him ahead of. That's why I have Brown ahead of him, but I still have Diggs ahead of Lamb and Adams. So I might be putting Adams ahead of Diggs by the time the season starts. I need to see what that does. All right, and then Jason, who is that? Who did we just go over? Oh yeah, and we have
Diggs.
the same ranking as ranks as ESPN pretty much. And from this point out, we have the same rankings as ESPN because the top 4 wide receivers are pretty much locked everywhere. Jason, first off, this guy said he's going to break the 2,000. He guarantees it. 2,000 yards in the Super Bowl this year, Jason. Tyreek, the streak in my underwear, Hill.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that. I definitely think he has the potential to get 2,000 receiving yards with a Super Bowl. I guess that really depends on Tua. He was second in receiving with 1,700, but he only had 7 touchdowns this year. I would like to see that go up a lot. But he had 170 targets and 119 receptions, and unforgettable catch rate of 70%. And I think it's not really more of contested catches. I think it's just more of drag routes and slant. It takes 5 steps, and Tyreek open is, he's so fast. He's open by 5 yards, and you could just lob it to him. You can even do it underhand if you wanted to. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, but the whole thing.
You really got yourself screwed up because Tyreek open he does this and he's open.
I was gonna say, okay, Tyreek Hill can get open in the first 5 steps because of his speed. So it's not like he's doing a lot of contested catches, but that's fine because he's so fast. He could get open really quick, and that's why he's able to catch those balls to get 70% catch rate. But it also comes around with is Tua playing? That's the big thing. they have a battle offensive line, but they did last year too, and he still put up like 170 targets and 1,700 receiving yards. Just put the ball in Hill's hands, let him and do it quick, like screen routes, whatever, and let him do the rest. He has that ability just to make a big play out of nothing.
Yeah. All right, dude. So, that's Tyreek Hill. So, like I was saying last season, there's only 2 just physical freaks that get hyper targets. Like there's Davante Adams and stuff like that just get hyper targeted and stuff like that. And I even think Justin Jefferson is not like that much of a physical freak. He's just really good route runner and he's long. But dude, Tyreek Hill and DK Metcalf are 2 of the people. Those 2 people. So it's like very rare to get this in the NFL. And Tyreek Hill, man, like he even showed even without Teron Armstead, who is the linchpin of like Tua's health and everything there, that Tyreek Hill can even perform with Teddy Bridgewater or backup quarterbacks and a backup tackle. So I think that Hill is much more safe than Waddle, because as soon as Tua goes down, Waddle becomes almost useless. But yeah, dude, Hill can just take any pass from any quarterback. And he's going to get 10 plus targets a game. That's too much opportunity to give that guy with that much speed, without scoring. He's going to score a ton of fantasy points. So I just think that his floor is just so high. Like no matter what, it's just crazy.
That's what I put here
too. Yeah,
that's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, it's just all opportunity. And then Jason, next up, the fantasy wide receiver last year, that if he would have stayed healthy, he'd be number 1 overall. No problem, dude. He was dominating, man. He was getting like 20 points a game. Like when I was looking at consistency ratings.
Yeah.
Bless you. It was like 90% or so. I do 80 something percent. And like Justin Jefferson was like in the 70s or something like that. Dude, Cooper Kupp, I know he got injured. And Matthew Stafford got injured. But you know what, dude? I don't care, Jason. I don't care that the offensive line sucks. Dude, I don't care that the offensive line sucks, Jason. I was like, dude, there's so much here that is not good, but Sean McVay's there. His breakfast buddy, Matthew Stafford's there. They're going to share omelets every freaking morning. They're going to crack each other's eggs, crack jokes. And, dude, they're going to be best friends. They're going to hold hands on the way home. And, I think that talk about floor. So I think that he's got the highest upside, and he's the riskiest out of all of the wide receivers that we've been talking about today. Because I know that you said I think Davante Adams was the riskiest. I think that Cooper Kupp is, because we don't know about Matthew Stafford's elbow. So if everything works out, though, he could outperform just Chase and Jefferson and everybody else by a wide margin.
You want to go to my birthday party? Yeah. So
as long as it's overnight.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp. Before they shut him down last year, he was killing it. In 9 games, he had 6 touchdowns, 75 receptions on 98 targets. And that is you're lying to me, 76.5 catch rate. It's ridiculous.
He's insane.
He also had a rushing touchdown last year. During those games, he averaged 18.2 points per game. He had 3 games with 10-plus catches, and he had 5 games over 100 yards. And he is the best route runner in the NFL. Cooper Kupp, he doesn't scare me. It's more of the Rams organization that scares me. And it's like, can Stafford stay healthy? 31st ranked all line, according to Pro Football Network. They were just like, the Rams was just a crazy team last year. And it's like, what is going to happen? I feel like as long as Stafford is in there, I think he's going to be putting up monster numbers again. I could probably even have him even higher. I think he could even be like debatable for the number 1 overall, but it's that organization that just kind of has me scared. And I don't want to get him in like the first 2 picks.
So, Jason, the reason that we're going to go up to the next dude, and it's a reason, because of Joe Burrow, I have got Joe Mixon like a tier or 2 higher than I probably should. And guess what, dude? Joe Mixon's best friend in college and moving forward is Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is still under 25 years old, super young, and he is a generational talent with a generational talented quarterback, dude. And it's like, I know that his floor is there. Like sometimes he just doesn't score points, but his ceiling is insane. And maybe this is the year where he gets consistent, you know? Like Joe Burrow is getting nothing but better. Their offensive line is still pretty good. I know that people knock it, but dude, like, you know, after like the first like 8 games or 10 games, like they were one of the top 5 pass blocking and pass rushing run blocking lines in the league. I suspect that'll probably happen again. They'll probably start slow and pick it up again. But man, and they've got a good defense, so they're going to have opportunities. I don't know. Anyways, Jason, you can't deny Jamar Chase. There's really not much to talk about, dude. He's like a man amongst children, even when he was in college. And he gets Joe Burrow, so it's just like, what do you do about that?
Yeah, we also got to remember the start of the season last year. You know, their line wasn't great, but after the Super Bowl loss, they revamped that line. I think they only had one offensive lineman that stayed around from the previous year. So it took some time for them to actually get going. And when they did, you know, that team just kind of like blew up.
Oh, yeah.
Jamar Chase, he only played 12 games last year, but he did have 9 touchdowns. He had a solid catch rate of 64.9%. The one thing I do like, though, is that he had 14 receptions on 24 targets in the red zone, which is a 58% catch rate, and those red zones gave him 5 touchdowns. And he had 9 games with 10-plus targets. So he is hyper-targeted in a power offense. He's hyper-targeted by one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And this quarterback, like you said, Tyler, they've been playing with each other since college, you know, back in the Flip Cup days. We used to play Flip Cup. Philadelphia. Philadelphia. He's fast. He's very talented. He's a
poison.
Poison.
You had a good time because you just drank poison.
They even poisoned D. That's just so funny. Where was I going with that? Oh, yeah, he's very talented, and you know his route running keeps improving. You know, there's a lot of opportunity for this guy.
All right, dude. So number 1 coming up. Everybody's number 1. Justin Jefferson. You know, I should have a Justin Jefferson jersey, but I can't afford it. Justin Jefferson just had the 12th best season ever by a wide receiver in PPR points, Jason, and he scored the second most touchdowns below expectation on the year. So, dude, he had a historic season with like really like missed out opportunities on a ton of touchdowns. So he could have had the number 1 overall season of all time had he scored like his expected touchdowns last season. And he's 24 years old, dude. And he gets the same offense. He gets everything the same. He's going to be losing Dalvin Cook. But I mean, it was weird. The only thing I struggle with, Jason, is that the Vikings had like a very lucky season last year, dude. Like they had to come from behind. Like their offense was struggling. And then they'd have to come from behind. And then they would just score like, you know, 2 70-yard touchdowns to end the game or something like that. So it was kind of like, I don't know. I know that Dalvin Cook was very lucky with his points last season. I do not feel the same with Justin Jefferson, but I can still see like a regression in maybe, you know, yards and stuff. But I do know that he's going to score more touchdowns.
I feel like if there's going to be a regression in yards, it's not going to be a lot. You know, he still had 184 targets, and I think that was the most by any wide receiver on this list. And he had 128 receptions. That is an MVP level catch rate of 69%, 17.9 points per game. And when it came to the red zone, he 14 receptions on 28 targets. It's only 50% catch rate. And he had 5 TDs. So he had 8 touchdowns last year. 5 of them came in the red zone. I think the one thing that didn't happen quite, you know, as we can see, he didn't really have long touchdown plays this year as he did the previous year. I think he definitely has a potential to break, you know, a 50-yard touchdown catch. It could probably happen this year. He's hyper-targeted by Cousins. You know, this year we'll reach 10 touchdown plus, I do believe, with the help of Jordan Addison. He's got speed. He only needs one hand to catch. He's good at route running. He has great rapport with the quarterback. He had 9 100-yard games last year and 1 200-yard game. I believe we will see a similar 2023 season, but with more touchdowns. Number 1 draft pick of 2023 fantasy football.
Yeah, and honestly, though, Jason, I think there are 3 wide receivers that you can take number 1 overall here. I think that if things clear up with Stafford and Kupp, you can totally go him and feel okay about it. And if you were really into Jamar Chase, dude, like if you're a Bengals fan or whatever, get your dude. Don't worry about just trying to chase a couple extra points per week, or the difference between points per week is all less than 1 on these top wide receivers last year. So do what makes you happy. It's not like there's a clear cut line to the championship or anything like that. So, anyways, people, thank you so much for tuning in to the Fantasy Football Show. We appreciate you greatly. This is like, dude, if just leaving a thumbs up, you cannot believe how much better we feel about this show over the last couple of weeks. Just people subscribing and taking a second to like it makes our day, literally. So thank you so much. And we will be coming back with more episodes soon. Jason, I'll catch you on the flip side.
Deuces.